Hello and welcome to the Whitelist gaming channel. My name is Dentay and in this video I will be going over the Cleaners and their role in the division. The Cleaners are one of 4 enemy factions that can be found throughout the division. Their origins are not as clear as the other factions, but some parts we are able to piece together. We know that prior to the outbreak, many of the Cleaners were sanitation workers and garbage men. Once the outbreak hit, they were like everyone else trapped on Manhattan, stranded in their homes or locked down in quarantine areas, hoping they wouldn't be the next victim of the infection. So how did these men go from regular blue-collar workers to pyromaniacs? The answer might reside in the division's companion book, New York Collapse. The main character, April Kelleher, writes about how in the early stages of the epidemic there were cult-like groups going around Manhattan, quote, purifying the city by burning away impurities and corruption. In one incident, April witnessed this cult prevent a group of civilians from leaving an area while their leader gave a sermon about purification while his followers started to burn down the entire block with infected people trapped in cars and buildings. Once the block had been burned down and all the infected had been purified, the cult would then have a doctor go around and check everyone's temperature that was in the crowd. If they had a fever, they would then be taken away to join the newly purified. All we need is a woman in red chanting for the night is dark and full of terrors, and we would find ourselves in a modern-day Game of Thrones episode. While it is not clear whether or not some of this cult turned into the faction known as the Cleaners, it is clear that the Cleaners are related to this cult in some way. The organization of the Cleaner faction was brought about by a man named Joe Farrow. Prior to the outbreak, Farrow was a sanitation worker who was known for voicing his opinion over radio talk shows. Joe felt the effects of the virus early when his wife became one of the first victims of the infection. After her death, Joe was driven by revenge against the virus and was determined to protect those who were not infected. In Joe's mind, if you were infected, you were a part of the enemy. Joe started his war against the virus by trying to spread his opinions through the radio. During one call to a local radio station at the beginning of the outbreak, Joe discussed how stupid people were in the country and how vulnerable it was because these sick people were going around spreading the virus. He also states that the virus will, quote, blow up big time, end quote, if the infected are not taken care of. In this same recording, he is heard voicing his distrust for the government and other organizations that don't have the balls or the brains to keep the virus from spreading. Joe then decided if the government wasn't going to do what he considered necessary, then he would. He organized fellow sanitation workers and together they began to cleanse the city. Farrow seems to have a lot of respect from the people that follow him. In one recording, 2 cleaners were discussing what they like about Farrow. They describe how he is fully committed to his goals and he is out on the street with them and not just ordering people around. He does have a bit of a temper though, according to this recording. Farrow also seems to know the people that follow him on a personal level. He calls them out by name when giving them assignments and even gives a eulogy for one of the cleaners when he dies. However, the brutality of the cleaners is evident. They are willing to burn down entire buildings filled with people if they exhibit any indication they might be infected. If there is evidence of the virus, expect the cleaners to be close by. In their eyes, the act of burning everything stops the virus to destroy it completely and before it can spread. It is their belief that once a person is sick, they are already dead and only serve to spread the disease further. In one echo, an individual is burned to death by a former friend who is now a cleaner simply because of his asthmatic cough. Those who subscribe to the beliefs of the cleaners seem to believe that they are doing what must be done because no one else will. The cleaners also believe that once they stop the virus, people will see them as heroes and finally understand the things they had to do. They also feel they have a responsibility to their communities, families, and the world, which justifies their actions. Do the ends really justify the means? The cleaners seem to believe so. They saw the death of every infected person as a victory against the virus. If only they knew that they were actually spreading the virus even more. According to the companion novel, if a person died of a disease, burning the body is likely to spread the pathogen. Many viruses are surprisingly robust, and airborne bits of the burning person's clothes are likely to be incompletely burned. In other words, not only were the cleaners killing innocent people, they were also causing the virus to spread more than it already was, making it more likely that the virus will spread out further than Manhattan and cause a worldwide epidemic. Turns out, the cleaners are not the heroes they picture themselves to be. I hope you enjoyed this whitelist video looking at the cleaners. If you have any further questions, leave a comment below or subscribe to see more of our future content. My name is Dentay, and thank you for watching.